My name is Sarah, I'm 40 years old. I live in Dumfries with my husband and 2 children, and I'm a deputy head teacher. So I found out I had secondary breast cancer in February of this year. I had primary breast cancer in 2020 and had 14 months of treatment, and then I'd started to notice sort of pins and needles feeling in my neck, down my arm, which got progressively worse, and eventually I went to the doctor to follow it up and was sent back up to the hospital and the oncologist and sent for a scan. At no point did I really consider that it was going to be secondary. It was just, they said they would just do an MRI eventually to check things, but then I got the phone call in February to say that it was secondary breast cancer, that it had spread, and that it was incurable this time. Day to day, I am quite lucky at the moment. I feel quite well. My side effects are fairly minimal, or they're manageable, I should say. I suppose what it has given me, I try to always look at things positively. It's given me a really intense sense of perspective on life, and just having that always in the back of my mind, I try to really embrace each day, try to find the positives, try to make the most of things, just be grateful for each day. I had 3 months off work and then went back to work 3 days a week rather than the 4 that I did previously, but I've managed to set up my treatment schedule so that I always have my treatments on a Thursday. I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I have a couple of days and then I'm back to work. So I'm lucky that I'm able to work around the diagnosis, I suppose, and still that allows me to have a fairly normal life. So able to still work and feel like I can contribute still, but also still then able to have 4 days of the week with my family, my children, and we've had to make a few adjustments to working days, but it is fairly manageable at the moment, which I'm fortunate for. It's obviously been really difficult for my close family to understand. It was difficult for me to understand. I think when we first heard the word incurable, we thought that meant terminal, which I think is a common misunderstanding, but having talked to people and done some research, we now understand that actually you can live fairly well, or you can live well with secondary breast cancer. I consider myself really fortunate that the pathology of my type of cancer, there are lines of treatment. I know that not everyone's that fortunate, but I consider myself really fortunate that there are treatment lines available, and obviously with research there's lots of new things coming out all the time. My husband found it incredibly difficult to start off with, to understand. I think we both just heard incurable and assumed that that meant terminal, and the statistics for secondary breast cancer are horrendous when you start to read. I think I read that that secondary breast cancer patients had 1 to 3 years life on average post-diagnosis. So in February I was worried that I wouldn't see my daughter start primary school, which she did last month, but now I understand much more about the statistics and how effectively it's really difficult to keep them up to date, and also about different treatments and different types of secondary breast cancer. So I think as a family we've just tried to focus on the positives, make sure we're making memories. We've got a plan to have a big family trip to Center Parcs just before Christmas, which we've never managed to do before, but I think we're just trying to really embrace all the things that come along and be grateful for the now, really. I do think about the future. When I got the first diagnosis, we threw ourselves into future planning and we sorted out our wills, we looked at our finances, I looked into my pension and spoke to a financial advisor. I'm kind of glad we've done that, and we will need to revisit some of it at some point, but it's the majority of that's done and it's just been put away in a drawer and some of those things are dealt with. I think to start off with, I thought a lot about the future and worried about things that I wouldn't see, particularly to do with my children, and not worried for me not being there, but for my children not having me there at certain times in their life. Now I try not to think about that too much and just focus on the immediate future rather than the long-term future. I'm really hopeful that the treatment works for as long as possible, and as research moves on and things evolve, there might be more and more treatment lines ahead in the future, which I can only hope for. I try not to think too much about or dwell too much on the future. I try to just frame it positively and be grateful for the now and the health and making the memories just now. So we've just booked a last minute trip to Disney with the kids in October, just to really make the most of the time we have now.